Okay.
Let's do it.
Yeah, let's go ahead and get started. Hello, everyone. Welcome to. I'm just so sorry. No, we're recording this at a very different time than usual.
Yes.
And it is messing with me a little bit. Anyway, welcome to A Piece of Our Minds, a podcast about the creative process, coming from three amateurs who don't know what they're doing, but we're going to pretend like we do for a solid 45 minutes.
We're trying our best.
We're figuring it
I
out.
felt like this would be fun, if people are experienced to maybe hear our perspective for when we don't know what we're doing, and I thought it would be a fun experiment. My name is Zander. I am, of course, always joined by my two beautiful friends.
Yes, I am beautiful friend one, Harley.
I am other beautiful friend Aaron.
I only selected my most beautiful friends to join me on this podcast.
I like how Harley and I didn't refer to you as a beautiful friend.
Yeah, no, I appreciate
you are simply friend. We are beautiful friend.
Yeah,
I am friend Zander, and you guys are beautiful friends.
Exactly.
I can see how it is. Anyway, we knew each other in high school. We were both pretty big into creative arts and stuff. So now we're trying to get back into it a little bit more. And letting you know on our thoughts along the way as we go through our creative journeys.
Yes.
Together with the three of us.
Yep.
Yeah, so with each episode, I always mean to time it, but then I forget. Anyway,
this happens every time.
Yeah, as I slowly go to my stopwatch app. I'm gonna ask this week's question of, okay, so I really like to start off with an icebreaker. So for this week, what I decided would be sort of in tune with the subject for our week, which is going to be style, and style points and how to do aesthetic stuff, or how we've seen it. I was thinking, what is the coolest moment in something that you've seen or experienced or read, either in recent memory or all time?
The coolest moment.
Yeah.
Dang.
So, yeah. So one of the ones I was thinking of was, I don't even know. It's a hard question to think about. Well, okay, I really want to talk about a lot about some of the movies that I saw this week, because they really made me think about style and all that. So I guess I was just about to spoil the crap out of the ending of this movie. No, so there's this movie called Melancholia that came out 10 years ago, I think, but I just saw it yesterday. And so basically the plot of this movie is, in the entire movie is freaking theatrical depression on screen. It's a very fun movie. No, but it's this bride at her wedding, and then the first hour is just this scene at a wedding, and then the next hour it switches to there's a planet that's gonna crash into the earth.
Isn't this just Armageddon?
No, but it's so the planet's called Melancholia, and it's just it's them dealing with it, and they show at the beginning of the movie that the planet's gonna be destroyed, and some people are doubting it. I guess it's a 10-year-old movie, and also
so it's Armageddon.
Yeah, it's Armageddon if it was about depression and analyzing depression.
Got it.
Okay.
Yes. And it was also starring Kirsten Dunst. I think that's her name.
But
MJ from the Spider-Man good ones.
My question is what makes it cool though? This just
I'm getting it. The final scene of the movie, of course, is the planet is coming to crash into the earth, and then it the characters are huddled together, and then the planet crashes into the earth, and then it cuts to a black screen, and then the credits start.
Are you serious?
Oh my god. Yeah.
Wow. So that's it?
Yeah.
That's it.
No, I was sitting there, and I was I turned to my dad, and I was is that the end?
Wow.
Just
is that it?
wow.
It was so powerful, and just like, because you knew it was gonna happen the entire movie, but just like when it did, and then not like going into any more detail. Which is,
Wow.
it was such an interesting like stylistic choice. Like seeing that
Yeah.
made me really like want to talk about this.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you seem very passionate about this. Like,
No, it was a good movie. It
That's-
was like the first like hour scene in with the wedding. It felt like one of those dreams. Like, have you ever had like that dream where like something's going on, or like you need to do something, but like you keep getting like sidetracked, and
yeah.
it's just this weird feeling of like this isn't like sitting right.
Like
Yeah.
there's something not that's supposed to be happening that's not happening.
Yeah, like that's what that
Yeah.
entire hour feels like, because it's like this lady at her wedding, and her name's Justine, and she just like keeps like getting like going like some into like some other room and like looking at something, and then like there's like the movie starts with like they're driving to the reception in this limo, and like the limo driver can't make this tight turn, and they spend like 5 minutes on it. Like the groom like gets out
Oh
and
my
tries to do it.
god.
It's like, but it was so good.
Huh.
Welcome to our podcast where I talk about melancholy for 45 minutes.
yeah.
What the heck?
It was just, there were so many weird stylistic choices that like, it put me in such a weird mood.
Yeah, it sounds like a roller coaster of
Yeah.
emotions and everything.
If you feel like
Because
getting
like
put
in the day and age where it's like the movie doesn't feel right if it's not a happy ending.
yeah,
Yeah.
It's such a stylistic choice to like
to not
choose to make the ending sad.
Yeah.
It was weird. It was good. Highly, it's like, it's on Hulu. I think it's free on like a few
Oh, it's on
streaming
Hulu?
services. It's on Hulu. I think it's
Okay.
free on like I'm plugging like all these
Yeah.
streaming services. I think subscribe to HBO Max. No, I think it's free on like Tubi or something too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. No, check it out. Like, highly recommend.
Yeah,
If
no,
you want to be depressed for like 2 hours of your life.
Dude, you
That's
talking
like
about
that-
you saying subscribe to HBO Max reminded me of other YouTube channel that I actually wanted to talk about with Aaron, but we can talk about that later.
Okay.
Okay.
So,
After
no,
the podcast.
like what I'm feeling right now about this film that you're describing is it's like that Leonardo DiCaprio line in Django Unchained.
Unchained.
Django Unchained, where he's like, "You had my curiosity,
And now you have
now
my
you have my attention."
Yeah. It was just, it was a
Man.
good movie.
But
No, I'm interested to hear what you guys.
so
Mm.
I guess for me, like I think more about specific scenes than
Mhm.
like whole movies and everything.
Mhm.
So one that came to my mind right away was that scene in Rogue One where Darth Vader comes at the end and
Oh.
just kills everyone. Like the music,
Oh,
the super dramatic, like just
oh yes.
Darth Vader's going ham, like destroying everything. That
Oh,
is so cool.
I love
Every
that
time I
scene.
watch that scene, I'm just in awe.
Mhm.
I'm like, who came up with this
Mhm.
idea of Darth Vader just like having all the power in the
Mhm.
world and destroying
Yeah,
everything?
'cause that does such, because like a lot of like I haven't seen Clone Wars or Rebels, but I heard they do like a super good job too of just like showing how powerful Vader is.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. In Rebels, there's a scene where they're like trying to like fend off Darth Vader,
Mhm.
and they drop like, oh, I don't even know what they drop. I think they drop like what are the two-legged ones? The two-legged robot things.
Oh, ATSTs? The ones on
Yes.
like Endor?
Oh
Yeah, I think they drop like a couple of those on top of him, and there's just like a fire that breaks out, and so there's just these
my
two like
God.
flaming ATSTs just on top of him. And they're like, "All right, let's get the heck out of here."
And
But then he lifts them up and like throws them away just super easily.
they do
and then
so much. They do
Yeah.
starts attacking
so
him
much
again.
cool stuff to just
Yeah,
make
they
him
do.
make him such a cool, like, lasting villain.
Yeah, no, that scene came to mind for me. The other
Mhm.
scene that came to mind was in Pulp Fiction, where Samuel L. Jackson has the long monologue, like
Oh,
Ezekiel
yeah.
25:17.
Mhm.
And you will know my
My
name
name
is the
is the
Lord, and
Lord.
I put my vengeance upon you.
As
Like
stereotypical
everything.
as it is for like three teenage boys to talk about Pulp Fiction when admiring art, it is a really good movie.
Can I like talk about that? Like, I feel like young filmmakers nowadays, like the only director that they pay attention to is Quentin
Is
Tarantino, and I'm like,
Tarantino, yeah.
there's so
There's-
many other great directors
Mhm.
that you could idolize and follow. Like
Oh, yeah.
Quentin Tarantino, like he's probably in my top 3 for director.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
But like, please follow and look at other directors, please.
Oh yeah.
Like,
No, my favorite director of all time is Wes Anderson.
Wes Anderson's good.
I love every single Wes Anderson film I've seen. And
Now I'm trying to think of Wes Anderson films.
I almost said Bridge to Terabithia. No,
That movie made me cry.
no, Grand Budapest Hotel, Isle of Dogs, Fantastic Mr. Fox,
Oh, okay.
Moonrise
So
Kingdom.
like a stop motion filmmaker.
Not he's done a few. He's Isle of Dogs and Fantastic Mr. Fox are the only stop motion ones he does. But what he does a lot is he does a ton of like straight on shots and a lot of like symmetry.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, he does.
I love Wes Anderson.
Yeah.
Don't take that out of context, Wes Anderson.
Wes Anderson's
yes,
gonna
because
file a
Wes
restraining
Anderson
order.
is listening to this. Yeah.
He might be.
No.
He might be.
I don't know. We'll see.
For like I was with Aaron with like not with just like specific scenes
Mhm.
because like as you already know, and anyone who's listened already knows, I'm a big fan of like Godzilla and kaiju and just huge monsters and robots.
Yeah,
and
there's
so,
a lot of like good scenes
like,
in those movies.
There are so many scenes from like Pacific Rim that come to mind. Like the first time you like see one of the kaiju and the Jaeger robots fight, it's such a perfect way to introduce like the immense power that is behind these guys.
Yeah,
because like you see it a little bit like at the beginning where they have like the huge they flash through like they flash through like the history up until this point.
Yeah.
You see like a little bit of it, but it doesn't really like give you a good scale of things.
Yeah, like that impact,
but then like
that awe.
Yeah, and then like another great scene for me is like later in the movie, because like one of the kaiju like sets off an EMP and all the other Jaegers shut down, but then they bring in this older one, and like he's the kaiju is about to like destroy one of the Jaegers and kill these people. And then you just hear like this huge like bass boost in the film. but it's like supposed to be coming from like the Jaeger showing up. And you just see like this giant flash of light and then just bass. And the kaiju turns around and you just see the Jaeger just silhouetted in light being carried towards them, and it looks so cool.
Stuff like that is really cool.
I just love any scene where it's like looking up at like these huge structures in it, like kaiju and robots. And Pacific Rim does it all the time, just to like give you a good sense of like how tiny you really are. And I just love any scene like that. Those are my favorite scenes.
Another thing that really helps in Pacific Rim, I feel, with like the style and like the power that they're going with, is the score.
Oh yeah,
I love the score.
Pacific Rim score is so good.
Good, because it's like all like super like hardcore like guitar, and like there's like metal sounds like
and lots of bass.
Oh, it's so. I feel like I've been grunting a lot in this episode. I'm sorry.
Well, I'm glad that you brought that up, because I don't think a lot. No, like the score. God, shut up. But like, I don't think people really take into account how much effect like sound and lighting has, and
yeah.
like it can really make or break a cool moment like in a film.
Mhm.
And so I think like being able to appreciate that is just it's just
And
so
like
nice.
the way that like the filmmakers like change the score to fit the mood of a scene, sound has a huge effect on how much you would enjoy a movie. And lack of sound also affects that.
There are times where like no sound is the best thing, like in certain moments.
Oh god, I was just watching something recently that was talking about like how there was like some like super powerful scene in a movie, and then like he sat back and realized he was like, oh, there's no sound playing, and that makes it so much better. I forgot what it was, though.
I've watched videos like that where they're like, just simply turning off the sound like just makes us like feel immersed in the universe that we're watching.
It can like really connect you to the scene.
No, that's great. Lighting, sound, all that like goes super hard at, like with filmmaking style and stuff. And to jump into the next segment of our show where we talk about all the stuff that we've done for the past week. Because I mentioned a little bit earlier that I watched a lot of movies over the past week that I've never seen before. And I wrote them all down because I like all of them were like, they did something completely different with what they were going for, but I feel like they did it really well. So the movies I watched were The Road to El Dorado, Emperor's New Groove, the original Muppet movie, Melancholia, which we already discussed at length, and Defy Bloods.
Oh, Defy Bloods. What did you think about Defy Bloods?
I loved it. It was so good,
dude. But didn't it go from like 0 to 100? Like, didn't you get that vibe? Yeah.
No. my favorite thing about I want to talk about the Muppet movie a lot, actually. But my favorite thing about Defy Bloods, besides like all the characters and everything, just the way that it was so good. No, but my favorite thing about it was, did you notice like how they changed the aspect ratio to like relate to what was going on?
No, I get what you're saying.
Because like when for those who haven't seen the movie, it's about like this group of 4 people who were Vietnam veterans going back to Vietnam to search for gold. Just straight up gold, which threw me off a little bit at first. I was like, oh, is it just gold? I was like, oh, okay. And also their deceased commander or buddy. I didn't really. But anyway, when they're doing flashback scenes, first thing they did really cool with the flashback scenes, I felt that like super helped the style, was they changed the movie from like the wide aspect ratio to 1:1.
Yeah, they did.
Which is so immersive. Like if any of you have like heard or seen of The Lighthouse, which was a black and white movie about just Robert Pattinson and Willem Dafoe at a lighthouse for like 2 hours, like going crazy, and the entire movie was like in super gritty black and white in a 1:1 ratio, and it just doing like shrinking down the screen like that, or like shrinking your like exposure, just makes it's so much immersive and like a little off-putting.
See, I thought about it. At first I didn't like it, but then it grew on me as the film went on, because I was like, okay, I get what Spike Lee is doing here. He's trying to like distinguish the past from the present, and giving it that 1:1 effect. It makes it feel older. Like it just makes it feel more timely.
I loved it. I love that so much. And then like it like a lot of the beginning scenes when it's like in the present, it's in like a slightly like shrunk, like a super wide but not really tall, and then like as soon as they like get to Vietnam and they're in the jungle again, like it blows up to be full screen, and it's just like the moment where like it goes from like I'm making parallel lines in my call right with my arms right now, but you can't see that obviously, but it's just the screen just blows up and I'm like, whoa. And it just feels so much crisper and like immersive, and I was just like,
every second that they were in the jungle, I felt like I was there, and I was terrified for my life. Like, I I was like, oh my god, like
that was one of the most like immersive movies.
Yeah, it was a very like involved and like it was just creatively it was just different. Like there was a spin on it that I really liked. And like I liked the characters, like, you know, because like certain characters are more likable than others, but I think that's what makes a good film. But like in the film, obviously, Xander, as you know, like there's that one character that kind of like messes everything up.
Yeah.
But like but like at the same time you're kind of like, okay, I kind of get where this guy's coming from. Like, so it's yeah, no, it's a good film.
My favorite scenes with when he's like completely losing his mind, like by the end of
Yes.
like
I
when
was
he
about to
just
say
there's
that.
like these super long scenes where he's just like staring straight into the camera, like going on these huge monologues, and I'm like, this is so good.
Yeah, he's literally talking to the audience. I mean, he's technically not, but he is. Like, we know what's going on.
Yeah.
So
that was so good.
I love scenes like that where it's just I know you guys are both a big fan of long takes as much as I am. Because like if they do like long takes right, it's so good.
Yeah.
And I'm sure based on what you guys you're talking about like just like a straight on like one character just talking.
Literally the camera is just on him. Like he's all alone at this point, and like the camera is just on his face, and he's looking straight into the camera.
But he's like moving too, like he's hiking.
Yeah, he's walking around too.
So it is like it's a long take.
I always I always love like long takes, but like there's movement with it too. So like it takes you through the scenery of the environment, but then it's also not like taking away the focus from the character at all.
See, that's why people tend to like vloggers and stuff, because they do that. Like that's exactly what vlogging is, and people like that, and they like that immersive experience.
Yeah, I've never thought about it. Yeah, because you're really just like getting like a look into their life.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
That's interesting. I've never heard that take.
Yeah.
But that makes sense. Final note I wanted to say about Defy Bloods, unless you had anything else, was I think it was probably due to a lack of budget is what I've seen online, but the fact that in the flashback scenes it's still like the older actors playing like the versions, and they don't like de-age them at all.
See, I think that's why Spike Lee did what he did by like switching the screen and everything. Because he was like, well, I don't have a wide array of characters, so I gotta let people know that we're going back in the past.
Like it worked, and it gave like such a unique feeling to like those flashbacks, and like it really made you like, it made me at least like feel that connection that like the flashback has to those characters, because like it wasn't like different actors. I don't know. I really like that too. That movie was just like dripping with style. Just fat.
I mean,
just soaking wet with style.
It's Defy Blood. I hope like I hope that like gets nominated for Oscars and like.
I was gonna say, because I'm watching this film and I'm like, this seems like an Oscar nominated film. I don't know if it's Best Picture, but like.
I hope some of the actors get nominations. I hope Spike Lee gets Best Director. It was just solid.
I'm taking all of this from like what you guys are saying, because I haven't seen Defy Bloods yet.
You should watch it.
You would
really like it.
I feel based on what you guys said, I feel like I'd love it. Is it on Hulu?
No, it's on Netflix.
Genuinely. Now to completely shift tones, I also watched the original Muppet movie.
Let's deep dive into this.
Which was interesting, because the thing I loved about it, spoiler alert, that I loved a children's movie. I know that's very out of character for me to like a children's movie. No, it was so good. And I know that says nothing about the movie, but like it knew what it was, and like it just rolled with it. Like
it stayed true to what it was.
Yeah, it was like,
I think like any like movie that does that is doing its job.
Yeah, I was just like, this movie, it's like Kermit's like it like opens with him singing Rainbow Connection in the middle of a swamp, and then this guy drives up in a boat and he's like, "Oh, you should go to Hollywood." And then Kermit's like, "Yeah, I guess I'll go to Hollywood."
Wait,
And
is
then,
that like where that meme comes from? He's like, where's the nearest town? He's like, back to where you came, and Kermit pulls out a shotgun. Have you guys not seen that meme before?
I've seen that
It's
meme.
from like Family Guy or something. It's just
Yeah,
like, hey, do you know where the nearest town is? He's like, yeah, it's back the way you came. And Kermit just pulls out a shotgun and cocks it. Like,
Oh my
That's
God.
probably based on that scene. Yeah,
it's so funny.
I love Kermit. Kermit's one of my favorite characters because he's just
Everyone loves Kermit.
he's amazing.
Honestly.
I love. I don't know what took me so long to realize this, but I was like, Fozzie Bear's character is just that he's a bad comedian, and that is it. Like that's his only thing.
That's true. Yeah.
I was like, this is amazing. I was just, like he was sitting up like doing he was telling like bad jokes and like the audience was booing him. I was like, that's all his character is. He hasn't evolved at all. I love it. No, but it's just going from like the Muppet Movie, which was like it's just it was so simple and simple but like intentionally like really like smartly simple.
Yeah.
You know, like it's not just like let's just throw like a bear in here and like
Like a lot of times like creators with that kind of situation, they'll just kind of be like, well, if we just plop this here.
Yeah. Like they're lazy. Like a lot of kids
Yeah.
are lazy.
They
Which
are.
is, like a really good one. Like the Muppets. If you've never seen it before, I highly recommend. It's just a good time. There's so many like little like quips and jokes that are just so much fun. But like,
I mean, there's a reason why the Muppets are so famous.
yeah,
like,
oh yeah. But like going from that to like Melancholia and to Five Bloods, like these movies that I really need to like pay attention to and like analyze, like as I was watching them, I was like,
to the Muppets.
yeah, I was like going from the Muppets to that. I was like, you don't need to, in order to make like something good, you don't need to make it like super complex.
Yeah.
Like
No,
you
don't.
need to be smart about it.
Yes.
It doesn't need to be weighed down with
because like
a ton of stuff.
You can make a movie complex, but then it can just be like
sometimes it can
still be
much.
bad.
Yeah, it can be preachy or it can be like super oh god, what's my favorite word? What did I can't pretentious. That's
oh pretentious. Ah yes.
I say pretentious all the time. But no, like they can get like super pretentious.
A movie gets bad if they try to be smarter than their audience.
Yeah, you never want to make your audience feel stupid ever. That is the worst thing and never tell your audience something that they already know. Like that is one of the biggest mistakes that people make. Whether it's a short film or a whole movie, like it. Never do that, please.
No.
But
those were the big like things that I like picked up this week. Was like
I need to start doing that because I'll be honest, I watch probably at least like 5 movies a week, but I can never remember. I can only remember like 2 of them. I finally saw Green Book last night.
Oh, how was that? I always wanted to see that.
Dude, that movie was simple. It was a very simple concept. And like obviously it's based off of a true story, so it's not like you can make it really that complex.
Yeah.
But it was just such a good story. Like that's all I can really say. Like it was just a good story and I liked the characters. And the character development is I think what makes that film really stand out is like watching the 2 characters develop throughout the film. But no, I've always wanted to see that film. And I finally got to see it. And
I'll check that out. Yeah, I think I am gonna start like keeping like a log of like all the stuff that like I've watched like the past week when we do this and like.
Yeah, well, because ever since like quarantine started, I would say I've watched over like 30 movies, like easy. Maybe even over like 40. Like it's an insane amount. And like there are some days where I've literally watched like 3 movies, sometimes even 4.
Mhm.
And so, but like I don't remember half of them. Like unless you say the name, like then I'll be like, oh yeah, that one.
Yeah, well, that
And
means the movie's forgettable, and it
yeah,
didn't
which
leave
is
that
not
much of an impact.
which is yeah, that's the whole thing.
Yeah.
It doesn't help that I'm like saturating myself with like all these
With
movies and
like,
stuff.
yeah, when you watch so much, because that's what I do with anime. Like if I go on like if I have nothing to do and I'm going on long binges, I'll watch something like kind of mediocre and then immediately forget about it.
Yeah.
No,
The
I always feel
other
awkward. I always feel awkward when like people are like talking about anime and they're like talking about these specific characters because I'm not good at remembering character names.
I know.
Because like they'll be talking about like a character and they're like saying their name. And I'm like, who?
No,
Because like they won't describe the character. They'll just say their names and then like talk about a scene. And I'm like, I just go off their features, and I'm like, the one dude, he's got the blue hair, and he always wears that weird armor.
No, I felt that so much. No, because I just started Haikyuu, which is this anime about just like this high school volleyball team.
Mhm.
And I have these two friends who are very, very into Haikyuu, and they'll just like I was talking to one of them, and she was like, oh, what do you think of blank? And just dropped the name, and I was like, I've watched 3 episodes. You're gonna need to be a little more specific.
the orange-haired one with the weird streak in his hair.
Not him. No, he hadn't come in yet. Literally, I can't think of his name right now.
I think we're getting off topic here.
Yeah, we are. We totally.
Yeah, we need Aaron. What have you done?
What have you guys done?
So, like I said, I watched Green Book. Loved that film. Watched Zodiac.
Oh, that's a good movie.
And yeah, because like I put it on my watch list and I wanted to see it, and I liked it. I thought like that's, and like again, that one's also based off of a true story.
I didn't realize how many big names were in Zodiac.
Yeah, no, like Jake Gyllenhaal's in there, Robert Downey Jr.
Mm-hmm. Mark Ruffalo.
Mark Ruffalo.
So it's just it's the Avenger. It sounds like an Avenger.
But it does a good job of like keeping you hooked, I would say, and like kind of like gravitating towards the characters as well.
Yeah, what do you think it does that like helps with that? Like at its core?
Gravitates towards the characters?
Or no, like keeps you like hooked like while you're watching it.
Well, I think it's because for me, like I didn't know the whole story behind the Zodiac. So I think because I didn't really know exactly like what happened. So I was like, okay, but I guess what they do to keep you hooked is like they get close to catching the Zodiac. Like they'll get super, super close, and then for some reason then they have to go back to square one. And like they keep on getting close and close and close, and it just keeps on going to shreds.
It's just that anticipation of like they're gonna get it this time.
It builds, and like towards the end of the film, you're like, this is it. They're gonna get him. And yeah, so I would say that's what keeps the audience hooked. The other thing was, like I said, I liked the characters in the film as well. I mean, with a great cast like that, you know the acting's going to be good. So that definitely helped too.
Jake Gyllenhaal.
The other thing, I've been doing a lot of studying this week. I learned some stuff about like different shots, whether it's like a single shot or like a 2-shot or a 3-shot, or it's an insert shot. Just different kinds of shots that you can do. And like the other thing that I learned that I kind of wanted to dive into was the 180-degree rule. And this is something that like I like through my process of like learning, I never really thought about before, but like the 180-degree, it's like this imaginary line between characters in a movie. So like let's say like there's 2 characters at a table having a conversation. One character is going to be looking to the right, the other character is going to be looking to the left. And that's because of the 180-degree rule, because it's pleasing to the eye. And so and like there's certain way like certain people like will break the rule. The way to break the rule is if you simply go to the other side. Like that's breaking the line. But there's ways to bend it. One way is by going to another shot for like a split second and then coming back, and the camera might be on the other side. That's one way. or one way is just to simply like move the camera to like the other side, but like we move with the camera as the audience. It's pretty complicated. Like I had to watch the video twice to get a full understanding of it, but I was like, okay, like this is something to really consider when shooting a scene, like for anything really. So yeah, no, to anyone who wants to learn more about filmmaking, make sure you check out the 180-degree rule, because it's pretty forgettable. Like it's something that filmmakers can easily forget.
Yeah, that you actually talking about that actually brings up what I was talking about at the beginning of this, about a YouTube channel that I've been watching for a while, that they do like these episodes where they just like look at a whole bunch of shots with like CGI and VFX and like stunts.
Oh yeah.
And it's we're doing some more free advertising, but the channel's called Corridor Crew, and they just do a whole bunch of stuff with like stunts and CGI and VFX, and what they do in these episodes, it's like they look at like both good and bad shots and then talk about those shots. And so like they were talking about a shot from Sherlock Holmes 2, Game of Shadows.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if you guys have seen that, but like the scene where they're running through the woods and they're getting shot at, and like they got like artillery being shot at them through the woods, and like they have explosions and like trees blowing up around them. And the way they shot it is really cool because of how they had to do like the slow motion shots. Because the thing is about with like slow motion shots that are like moving, where the camera is actually moving around, the camera has to move so fast in order to get those shots.
Yeah.
It has to, like, if you look at like slow motion shots where the camera's actually moving, the camera is moving really fast compared to the scene, just so that while it slows down, it can still move to the other area. Because like in the span of like 1 second of just slow motion footage, the camera might be like on the complete other side of the character or the actor, and so the camera has to move really fast. And they did that in that shot of Sherlock Holmes, because like they talked about it, the camera was moving at like 10 meters per second. I don't know how fast that is.
Yeah, we live in America, Harley.
Yeah, I don't know. Let me convert 10 meters per second to miles per hour.
Yeah, let me just do that quick. Yeah. Welcome to our podcast where we convert from stupid
and I think
metric system to the Chad American system.
But like to your point, Harley, I feel like that's why people don't use slow motion a lot, because it's like difficult to get it right. Yeah.
No,
yeah, but the thing is, like, what they did, because like they did like slow motion, but they also did like zoom in shots, and they did it the same way that they did it in 300. In that one, in the one scene from 300 where it's like the first battle with like the slow motion. So like, you know, in that battle where they do like the zoom in shots, but they also do like the slow motion. What they did is they have two different cameras at different focal points, like zoom in. And so what they do is just have them both film the same thing and splice the footage together to make it seem like a seamless zoom of just one camera, but it's just two different cameras at the same spot.
No, that's cool.
And that's what they did. Really cool. That's what they did in Sherlock Holmes 2 with the slow motion shots. 22 miles an hour is how fast the camera is moving.
Wow.
Okay. So that camera's it's moving.
That camera is really moving.
My mind had completely moved past that. And I was like, what?
So the camera in to do the shot for Sherlock Holmes Game of Shadows was moving 22 miles an hour in order to be fast enough to move with like the scene and get the slow motion shots.
That's pretty fast.
And at the same time, it's actually two cameras looking at the same thing at different zoom ins. in order to splice the footage together to make it look like a seamless zoom.
That's yeah. I feel like that brings up some good points. Like with like what Aaron was saying, that like a lot of stuff when it comes to like style and like trying to add style things to your film, it's not going to be a lot of stuff that like anyone's going to necessarily like notice flat out.
Yeah.
Or like if you think about originally, but like it is super important for making like
people do not realize it.
Yeah,
like,
no,
but Aaron,
that 180-degree rule is something I've never heard. No, and also with what Harley was saying, I feel like a lot of style stuff is a huge technical challenge.
Oh yeah,
like trying to make.
Yeah, so I would definitely suggest that channel to you.
That sounds very interesting.
That sounds
Corridor Crew. They'd bring in like they just talk about like stunts, and they talk about like how they shot the stunts, because you talking about the 180-degree rule made me think about that, because there is a fight scene that they they talked about like the stunts for.
Okay.
And they talked about how they actually broke that rule but made it work in a way that it actually made sense. Because like
sometimes it does make sense to break the rule.
Yeah. Because like it was talking about how like there's like an invisible line that you just don't cross in the scene.
Yeah.
And then they crossed the line, but it worked because of how they did like the cutting of the scene.
Yeah.
And so that's why that's what reminded me of the channel.
And going back to like talking about stuff that like a lot of like people watching a movie, like they don't notice, I've kind of reached the point where like when I'm watching a movie, like, and I'm looking at a specific scene, I'm like, okay, we got a nice like over the shoulder shot, and like we've got like good symmetry. I see like they've worked on the color grade. I'm like,
I definitely have that now. Like the more I talk to you guys about like filmmaking and movies and scenes,
the more I learn, the more I see.
Like you're thinking. I think a lot about like the score, like the music, and like the special effects.
Yeah, I think because when I watch a movie, I always find myself looking at like the acting first and foremost.
Yeah, I usually find myself with like the sound effects, and I think about like how they like the shots. I don't think about like how they do it. I'm more of just like impressed, like dang, that's really cool.
So with our powers combined, Aaron looks at like the cinematography, Harley looks at the visuals and sound, and I'll look at the acting. And then together, we have a complete review.
We have a complete movie.
With our powers combined.
Yeah.
I think the reason why I think like from a cinematography standpoint is because like when I started doing my research, I was like learning like first and foremost about cinematography, and I think that's why. Like when it comes to acting, I always hope that the acting's gonna be good when I go to watch something. Like I feel like,
but it's not guaranteed.
But that's not guaranteed. But you can always hope. Like so.
No, you always hope.
No, when it comes to sound though, like I definitely like if I were to like ever like make something, I would definitely like want sound. Because see, now I've started to
just in general, just like
well, because like
noise,
please. Now I've kind of
no silent films for Aaron. Not
well. Now I've kind of well, I've kind of moved to learning more about sound. So like now I'm starting to notice it a lot more in like movies and everything. And I'm like, okay, like there's just so much like little nitpicking ideas when it comes to films that people,
there's so much to pay attention to.
All right. Well, I guess I should go into what I've been doing.
What have you done?
So I've had a hard time focusing with my writing this last week because I've been working on a bunch of other stuff that doesn't have to do with my writing at all, but like I've been making my videos and such, but I don't want to talk about that. But like I find myself thinking about like when I'm not writing, and like I'm trying to think about my writing and like get ideas, because I didn't do much this week. I sat down and like tried, but I just couldn't.
Yeah.
But I just found myself thinking about my characters a lot.
Yeah.
And so I'm just like thinking about like how can I, because like one thing I've always been like focused on is like I don't want my characters to be perfect. Like I want to bring out like their flaws and have their flaws be like a defining
have
characteristic and
those
how
imperfections. Yeah.
I really want to bring out like I want to bring out their imperfections.
Yeah.
Like I want to do that more than bringing out what's good about them.
See, and
Which
I think that's relatable for people.
yeah, like
too.
because like I always get tired where it's just like, oh, this character, he's a goody two shoes, but like he's also just like this perfect character that you can't be mad at. And I'm like, I don't want that in my story. I want characters who will make a lot of mistakes and you're going to get pissed off at them for being like selfish or stupid. And I don't want I want them to be imperfect because I feel like that just makes them so much more relatable as characters because you hear it 1,000 times, nobody's perfect.
Oh
Yeah.
And so all these books where it's just like the character is just good just because he's the main character and there's just like no flaws to this character just for no reason. And that's just not realistic.
Yeah.
The flaws
I think that's
are what
good.
make it, like what make a character interesting is like like them getting put into a situation and not reacting perfectly to it.
Yeah.
Like
that shows you they have room to grow, which is like what a story is.
Yeah, because like I know I talked about it. I don't know if I talked to you guys about. I don't know if I talked about it on the last episode of the podcast, but I know I talked about it with you guys with one of my characters, love interest in
quotation marks.
Quotations. You can't see it.
Note that Harley is holding quotation marks up to the screen.
Yes, the quotation marks love interest. I talked about how like she's just like a car thief.
Yeah,
and like I'm thinking about like I'm like thinking about this, and I'm like, what can I do to make it like make her like being a car thief is already like an imperfection in a person, but like
that's like the most
I'm just
neutral,
I'm like thinking about like what she would be like, and I'm like, she's gonna be super like defensive and like she's not gonna trust anybody.
It's not like she's like you or anything.
Like she's not gonna like she's gonna be super defensive and she's not gonna trust anybody, but she's also just this super nice and outgoing person. And so like it's just like a conflict of interest.
Yeah, that's a nice
within that character.
Dude, I like this love interest in quotation marks.
Note that Aaron's holding quotation marks up.
And I introduced the best friend as the coworker already.
Yeah,
the Menards coworker.
Home Depot. Thank you very much.
Home Depot.
Excuse me.
No, but like he has like because like like the best friend is gonna be his problem. I'm like, I find myself thinking a lot about like, how can I make them have issues? And I'm like, this guy is brutally honest with everyone he meets.
Oh yeah.
And so like, if he sees something, he's gonna talk about it because he's just honest with everyone. But like, of course, being brutally honest with everyone is gonna have its own issues.
That people who are brutally honest, there tends to be conflict with those people, like no matter what.
And then like my main character, he of course is antisocial already. But like he also wants to help people with their problems, but he has to try and deal with his own problems at the same time. And so like he doesn't deal with his problems. He like he distracts himself with other people. as much as he can, but like he also has the issue where he doesn't like to talk to people because he's like antisocial and uncomfortable with attention.
Yeah.
And so he's just this whirling mass of emotion that doesn't know where it's going.
Yeah.
And so like
that's
he
really
sees
cool.
an issue that someone has and he like wants to talk to him about it, but he can't. And so that's like pretty much all I've been doing this entire week. Like if I sit down to write and I just can't, I'm like thinking about these characters.
Yeah.
And like what
as long
characteristics
as you're
are.
doing something a little bit every day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually tried to type a little bit before I hopped on here.
Nice.
I got a little bit done. But
because like there's so much when you're like writing those characters, like even like the types of characters can like go a lot towards like the style that you're doing and like the types of interactions that you have and like how you're writing them. No,
style and characters, like whatever your story is about, they need to go hand in hand in order to have a nice balance.
Another thing, one final thing I want to bring up about style, because I feel like we talked the entire time except for Harley about film style, but I want to talk briefly before this goes too long about some writing style that I've been like experimenting with, because like I know Harley, you've read most of like what I've written so far.
Yeah, I need to get back into reading that.
Whenever you can.
Yeah.
No priority. But I've been playing around a lot with just like different perspectives and stuff. Like the whole story starts off with like this monologue from this character. It's like super duper vague, and you're like, I don't know what's going on. It's like this otherworldly being, and then it like cuts to like this first person perspective, and it's just this guy talking, and then it's him for a while, but then like every so often this other character butts in with like its own like super like outside looking in monologues, like that's also weird. So just like with writing, like I know like one of the big style choices is like, am I doing first person or third person? But like there's so much other stuff that you can like play around with, like when you're writing, like what like style is super important with writing too, I guess is the point I'm trying to make.
I think style is important, like in anything that involves creativity, like whether it be movies or writing, like I mean anything really.
And everyone's style is going to be super duper different, and that's great. Like that's
which
what
is
makes
good.
art, that's what makes art
good.
fun for like other people to look at, is just like seeing what you have to bring to the table. So because I would love to see, so because like I'll see like stuff that people haven't made, I'll be like, I never even thought about that, like that's so good.
There's like a reason why like not everyone has the same favorite artist, like when it comes to something. So
or like the whole line from Ratatouille is like not, I'm sorry. It's just it's super,
oh my god.
No, it's that like not everyone can become a great artist, but a great artist can come from anywhere. Meaning like no matter what background you have, you got your own spin on things, and people want to see that.
People like original. I mean, that's
I have like I know it's just because like I haven't been writing for that long at all. But like I have a I have a very like simplistic form of writing, and I know that like my form will develop more as I write more and just get used to it. But like as of right now, I have a very simplistic form, and I really want to like get better at it, and I know I just had to write more and get used to it. So
you just gotta practice.
You gotta like build your style as you're going, because like I feel like more and more I'm thinking No One's Alone at the End of Time, which is the novel I've been working on for anyone if this is their first episode. I feel like more and more as I'm getting later into it, like my style is getting more fine-tuned, and I'm like, this is nothing like what the beginning was. So like I'm definitely starting to treat it much more like an experiment, and just having fun with it instead of caring like a lot about consistency. Like caring about consistency, but like that's not my main priority.
Yeah.
I'm just like,
Well,
I'm
and I
trying to
mean,
develop my skills and like have
yeah,
fun with this.
yeah, and I think that's always good to focus on. I mean, it's not like, we're experienced and whatnot.
Yeah,
Like we're growing, like
Mhm.
with our creativity and our
yeah, we're
knowledge and
amateurs.
everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, um, yeah, no, I think I really like that for the both of you guys. Like that you guys are like kind of growing as you write your
Yeah.
stories and everything.
That's
Mhm.
exactly what we want. And
Yeah,
I think that's a very touching note to end on.
I think so
Yes.
too.
Honestly, yeah.
That was beautiful.
Not to get sappy or anything. Not like I tell all of you that I love you at the end of every episode.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which I do. No, so just to wrap up, style, very important, very
Yeah.
different depending on how you're
Yeah.
going at it, and that's good.
Yep.
Yeah, you're gonna
Style
like
comes a lot from who you are as a person. I
yeah,
Comes
what
from the
you
heart.
yeah.
Comes
Yeah.
from the
Like
heart.
it's gonna sometimes it takes technical issues, sometimes it's barely noticeable, but it
Yeah.
is important. And like
It's definitely different in books and
oh
movies.
yeah.
There is
Yeah.
it's very different because in movies you can do a lot with sound and VFX
It's
and
a visual
CGI
experience. Yeah.
And
and
it definitely
how you shoot a scene. In
yeah.
books, it's just from what you're thinking as you're writing.
Yeah, it's a lot of
And how
like
you're
it's a lot of
feeling.
voice, like what your voice is
Yeah.
and what you sound like.
Yeah.
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 And the other thing about style is that like I know we spent a very large chunk of this episode just like gushing about movies that we love. But that's what you need to do is just like
Yeah.
you just just like inhale like all the art that you can and be like,
Yeah.
okay, this is the stuff that I like. I kind of
Yeah.
want to create something like that.
Because
Yeah.
you draw this your style from all your experiences that you've
Mhm.
had and what
Yeah, you're
you've
just like
preferred.
I'm like I want to take like a little bit of Wes Anderson and just like cram that in, and I'm gonna take like,
Just a little bit of Wes Anderson. Just
yeah, just a little bit of Muppet Movie. Have some. It's like Ratatouille when they're like combining the.
Okay.
And on that note,
on that
thank you
note,
all so much for watching this episode.
listening.
So much for watching this episode. If you want to reach out to us, if you enjoy us, if you hate us, follow us on social media. All of our Instagrams and Twitters, except Aaron that doesn't have Twitter, I think.
I do have Instagram though.
Yes, he does.
Yes.
Follow us. All of our @s are in the descriptions of every episode, no matter where you find us at. Speaking of, you found us somehow, which already kudos to you. You are amazing in your own individual way. But if you are interested in finding us somewhere else, you can look at Anchor, Breaker, Overcast, Pocket Cast, RadioPublic, or of course, Google Podcasts and Spoofy, aka Spotify, and soon coming to Apple Podcasts.
And
If you are
YouTube.
interested in listening to us anywhere else.
I don't know if you said
Also,
YouTube already.
I'm going to say
And-
YouTube. I'm going to plug the YouTube channel at the end, as my notes say. We're also on YouTube. I post all of these on YouTube. Not the videos of our Zoom calls, although if literally anyone recommends that we should, I will. Because they're just going to be sitting on my computer. If not, but on YouTube, if you look up lettuce, that's the salad type leaf. Lettuce Rock Productions. Lettuce YouTube. We don't have a unique URL yet, but look up on YouTube Lettuce Rock or Lettuce Rock Productions. You can find us there. You'll find the podcast. You'll find all of the short films that we have made together.
Mm-hmm.
And that's subscribing there is literally the best way to support us, honestly.
Yeah.
Liking our videos, leaving us comments, just giving us
Suggesting us to friends.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would. Yeah. Tell your friends about this podcast. Tell your loved ones. Tell your enemies. We love. Yeah. We can tell anyone. Okay. Just tune in next week when we're gonna talk about Redacted. Because I literally decide the themes for these episodes about 5 minutes before we record.
Yes.
So
Nice.
yeah, Monday
Thank
at
you.
noon, every single place that this is posted.
Yes.
think that's it.
Yeah.
Yay!
So this was Zander, Aaron, and Harley.
Yes. In
Thank
third
you
person,
all.
in that order.
Yes. Thank you all once again
No,
for letting us.
we love you so
Oh
much.
my god! Oh my god!
He said it.
We love you
Yes.
so much for listening to this podcast.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Who wants to do the outro? Is it me again?
I think it's you every time.
It's
Harley.
gotta
All
be.
right,
It's
man.
gotta be you.
All right. Thank you all.
Before Harley stops, I would like to say that Aaron is
Oh my-
literally dying right now.
I don't know what's going on.
I thought you were laying on the floor.
Yeah, me too. Okay, Harley.
So,
take it
all
away.
right. Thank you all so much for letting us give you a piece of our minds.
I think that deserves a standing ovation.
Yeah.